Are the Video Game Awards rigged? Is the Wonder Woman game going to suck? What the hell is going on with Sony sources? And we react to the Bad Web trailer. Sony has a new patent. Konami is getting back into making games. AI is taking over Grand Theft Auto 6. And Call of Duty gets its first bomb. That's these stories tonight on the Console Wars podcast. Okay, so before we get on to tonight's stories, a couple of things with housekeeping first. For starters, we have employed new memberships that you could participate in, and we also have super likes and chats, special thanks, donations that you can contribute to. So if you want to contribute to this channel at all, you could do that with the memberships or with the super likes and the donations. I'm not going to ask for any of this on any of the other videos, and I'm not going to ask you to like, subscribe, share this content, or comment down below on any of the other videos, but with the Console Wars podcast, because it's a long form video, and obviously you guys are staying for the long haul. The other videos, you want to just get to the point. Besides, I kind of hate it when people do that in every single video, so I'm not going to do that, but here. And so also, any comments or questions, or not comments, but if you have any questions about certain topics with this field, whether it's entertainment, news, whatnot, throw them down in the comments below, and I will be sure to read off some of the best ones next week on next Console Wars podcast. So definitely participate in that. Try to keep your questions clean and respectful, and I'll try to answer them if they're interesting enough. So I'll be looking forward to see if anyone actually comments down below. But hey, any questions you have or things you want to know my thoughts on, let me know down below. Also, if you haven't, we've released this week the next chapter about examining the Bomb, New Mutants, fun with that video. And we also released the hour play of Resident Evil 4 Remake. And so have fun with that one. And so, yeah, definitely check those out, and let's get on with the show. And an interesting thing happened this week. The Video Game Awards announced their nominees this week, and Xbox was snubbed. And a lot of Xbox fans were pretty salty about it. And, even on Pure Xbox, this reaction, looking back, Xbox has had some strange Game of the Year omissions over the years. Or we just salty about Starfield. And it's honestly, initially, I was thinking, guys, you're being Xbox. You're just upset that Starfield didn't get it, okay? I mean, you can't win every single year, alright? And so, honestly, I was reading nothing into it. But then this article by Pure Xbox, they started pointing out, Psychonauts 2 was the only Microsoft title to be nominated in more than a decade. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. That can't be true. And looking back over the years, there are some obvious exclusions that you might like it, but I could see how they would be considered that successful or whatnot. But certain games like Gears of War 3 were not nominated. Halo Reach was not nominated. And it's just okay, hold the phone. This is getting weird now. And then I found this image on Twitter. So I don't know if this is an accurate image or not, but someone put up a list of every year the Game Awards had a show, and they put up the nominees. And, there's only 1 year that Sony was not nominated for anything. And there's only 2 years that Nintendo wasn't nominated for everything. But when it comes to Xbox, every single year, Xbox was snubbed since 2013, since this show started. with the exception of Psychonauts 2, which was a multi-platform game. And so, leads to the question, are the Game Awards rigged? Because from what I've seen, it's looking like, yeah, they might be rigged against Xbox. Now, I know some Sony ponies out there are going to go, well, that's because Xbox has never had a good game. Grow up, okay? Like, seriously, grow up, alright? I'm not saying Xbox is better than Sony, Sony's better than Xbox, but come on. Even when I was only playing on Sony, I could acknowledge that, like, Microsoft had some good games that unfortunately weren't on Sony, and that kind of sucked, but, you know, I just had to live with that. And vice versa, you know, Sony has some good games. Okay, I've had Xbox say there's no good games on Sony at all. And it's like, you're an idiot. Okay? Like, but the fact that Xbox got snubbed every single year for the Game Awards, that's weird. And this isn't like a Academy Award situation where 1 year it was all white actors and then they started doing a campaign, Oscars So White, which was stupid because previous years there have been black Academy Award winners, and it's just 1 year it didn't happen, and that was an indication of complete systematic racism. And it's like, guys, there's just 1 year it didn't happen, okay? But no, so this isn't that. Okay, this isn't Xbox like, well, we weren't nominated for this year, so it's completely right. No, from the evidence, it looks like every single year Xbox was not nominated. And it's weird. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that the Game Awards are completely rigged? Or do you think that, you know, just it's bad luck? It's not because Xbox has never made a good game, okay? It's not that. So don't put that in the comments down below. Xbox has made some good games, okay? I don't want to be seeing that in the comments down below. Xbox has never had good games, and that's why. Moving on to our next story. It was announced, it was reported on over on Push Square, that the single-player Wonder Woman game may still have live service elements. Devs are looking for live service experience, and from this article, they were talking about job advertisements that are listing experience helping maintain a live software product or game, or something nice to have alongside the usual employment necessities. So, this isn't exactly an indicator that Wonder Woman is going to be a completely live service game. I don't see how it could be, since it's entirely central on one character. If this was like a Justice League game, I would be very concerned that this is a live service game. But since it's just one character, that means only one player is going to really be able to enjoy Wonder Woman as they're playing her. And in terms of live service, what are we talking about live service? Are we talking about this stupid nonsense where you have to be online all the time to fight against AI bots? Or are we talking about there's going to be some microtransactions like you saw with Shadow of War? And a lot of people really criticized those, but they got fixed, and it's the same team that made Shadow of War. So probably there's a safe bet that they maybe learn from their mistakes. I'm not going to say they learn from their mistakes, because some of the most thick, dumbest people in the world are video game developers. I cannot stress that to you enough. You will never meet a more thick person than a video game developer. I mean, just look at what happened with Spider-Man, okay? They had MJ, they had MJ stealth missions in the first Spider-Man. No one liked them, and the game director went, I'm going to double down and have even more MJ stealth missions, because you will like those. And it's like, so, there's a very good chance that the developers of Shadow of War did not learn their lesson. They might have the same horrific microtransactions in this Wonder Woman game that they had in their last game. But the optimist in me is kind of hoping that, hey, maybe they've learned, and maybe this isn't going to be just the only way to get to the end is to pay for microtransactions. I'm actually really hoping for this game because I'm kind of hoping that we'll get like a Zack Snyder Justice League type of Wonder Woman, because in my opinion, that is like the greatest adaptation of Wonder Woman ever. And if I get a video game where I play as Wonder Woman, I want to feel like a nuclear weapon going off. I don't want to feel like Wonder Woman 1984. Okay? So, like, it's been a while since we've seen anything with this game. And I don't know if it's going to come out anytime soon. I think it might have been last year when we heard something of it for the Game Awards. Like, maybe we might hear something again this year. It's been, like, 4 years since Shadow War came out, I think. It should be any moment now that we're getting this Wonder Woman game. And somehow it's going to use the Nemesis system, which the only way I could figure that out is if they have it involved with the lasso of truth. So maybe she could, like, lasso people and then they're brainwashed for the entire game, which I don't know if that's how the lasso of truth works, but hey, I like this developer. I'm hoping that this is a really awesome game. I'm looking forward to it. In the meantime, just pro tip, if you want to play a sort of Wonder Woman game, go play Assassin's Creed Odyssey with the female assassin, and there you go, because some of her powers, it's just like, no human can do that, but if you imagine she's like Wonder Woman, there's even like a costume you can unlock later on in the game that's very close to the Wonder Woman outfit intentionally, and so you can actually like do some pretty awesome stuff with that character in that game. Just like a little pro tip there, if you're interested in experiencing like a Wonder Woman type game. Okay, so this next thing, something weird is going on with Sony sources, and I gotta get into it. So, this article came out titled, "A whopping 80% of Modern Warfare 3's physical UK sales were on PlayStation 5 and PS4. Okay. Really awesome for Sony. So, the thing that started me off, though, is Sony also reported that only physical games represented just 4% of sales for the PlayStation's last quarter. So, like, no one buy Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3? It's number one in UK. By the way, I'm not in UK, just the website I use, Push Square, Pure Xbox, those are UK news companies, and so they focus on UK sales. And the reason why I'm following a UK news company instead of an American company is they tend to stick to the point, and they talk about, you know, gaming, whereas other American companies, they like to throw politics in with it, and they like to get away from gaming and have it all about politics, and like, I just want to focus on the gaming, and I'm even guilty of doing that sometimes. I strive to try and not put politics in as humanly possible. So that's why I follow these English companies, because they tend to keep politics out for the most part. But you look at this, 80% of Modern Warfare physical sales in UK were on PlayStation. Okay, that's great. But only 4% of sales for PlayStation were physical games. So I'm really confused. Are there no physical game sales, or are there a lot? Because this article over here, 80% of all physical sales for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 were physical. And Modern Warfare 3, despite it getting some really bad reviews, it's selling really well. So one of these two articles are not accurate. That's not it, though. There's this other article titled, "PS5 is now above the PS4 in US sales, congrats, while its new-gen rival flounders. Xbox Series X and S is struggling." Okay? They're saying, like, this data analyst, Matt Piscatella, I apologize if I slaughtered your name, he has that Xbox Series is down like 11% from where the Xbox One was selling. But they almost are. Xbox is almost halfway to the total of Xbox One sales, and it's not even the halfway point yet. So, because I know everyone's saying 3 years is the halfway point. No, it's 4 years. Okay, so next year we'll be at the halfway point, and they are almost to. They are almost to the halfway number point now. So Xbox is doing better than it did last generation. So I don't know where this Mac guy's getting his data from, but last week I talked about how Xbox beat out Sony in Japan for a week. Now, granted, again, this doesn't mean that Xbox is the winner because they beat out Sony for 1 week in Japan. No, just Xbox never got close to doing this with the Xbox One, okay? Xbox Series is not floundering. And so, one of these two sources is lying, okay? Where you're talking about the physical sales or with the Sony crushing Xbox. Unless you want... That's if you're completely ignoring that 1 week in Japan, okay? Like, that happened recently. So, like, which is it? Is Sony completely crushing Xbox, or is Xbox doing better than it did? You can't have it both ways. You can't have it where Xbox is doing worse than the Xbox One, but it's doing better sales-wise in Japan. And, like, look, Xbox was going to have a rough go at it because Sony stole so many Xbox players during the Xbox One generation. And you have all these games with DLC, you're going to stick with the next generation that you're going to bring that DLC over. So Xbox has a massive hill to climb. I'm not going to be naive about that. But looking at the sales numbers, Xbox is doing a lot better than the Xbox One. And yet they're saying that Xbox is struggling and it's 11% down on the Xbox One. I'm sorry. Someone is wrong here. Okay? So is Xbox doing better or worse? It can't be both. Okay? You have one article saying that they sold 1,000 more units than Sony in Japan. Their backyard. But yet they're doing worse. You have another article saying that only 4% is total of Sony's physical sales, and yet 80% of all physical sales for Modern Warfare 3 were for Sony. Like, what is it? And I don't have an answer to it, just someone's lying, okay? And look, someone may have a good explanation for this that they're saying in the comments down below, and, you know, if someone can explain this all to me, great. But as of right now, it feels like someone in the industry is lying. So, moving away from video game news for a moment, the new Mad Web trailer just dropped a few days ago. And I'm not going to show the trailer here because, one, I don't like watching other people watch a trailer. I like hearing their thoughts on it, but and you've seen the trailer. Okay, you want to know my thoughts on it. So, my thoughts on this are as simple as this. It feels like the exact same people who made Morbius are making this movie. I don't mean the same studio. I mean the exact same director, editor, casting director, grip. It feels like the exact same crew is making this movie. And like, a lot of people are in agreement that this trailer does not look that good. Now, there's a couple of things I did like about the trailer, but I'm going to kind of get into my initial thoughts first. So, one, I don't get the choice for having Dakota Johnson playing Mad Web. Like, I've always known Mad Web as an elderly woman in her 60s or 70s, and she's blind. Dakota Johnson is 28, or at least she looks 28. Like, okay, you're doing an origin movie, but why is it set in modern day? Like, as it sits now, you're having it so that she could have a relationship with Spider-Man. Okay, they're the same age. Okay, it's possible. And I never once read a comic where Madame Web had a relationship with Spider-Man. Okay, she was always like this mysterious third party that was like guiding Spider-Man on these like random tasks, telling him about his fate, and in a few instances was kind of like a mother figure to him. So like, is this the Mad Web for Spider-Man 2099? Because, like, honestly, I feel like this is the wrong time era to be doing a origin story for Mad Web. And, like, honestly, they should have had this set, like, the 1970s, 1980s, the latest, like, early 1980s. And, I mean, like, I grew up with the Mad Web from the animated series. Great character, and I think Mad Web should be older. And yes, I'm being ableist, but I'm being ableist in the opposite this time around. I'm not being ableist like, oh, they're too old. No, too young, okay? Mad Web should be really old, and like, I'm thinking like Helen Mirren, Judi Dench. I don't know why I'm only thinking of English actresses right now. It could be not-English, but I mean, like, I want someone who looks like they've experienced the world, not someone who's new to the world. And, okay, I get it. You want to do an origin story. Fine. So she's not blind, she doesn't have the weird web chair and the bodysuit. But, come on, like, something that would have been interesting is doing, like, a Madame Web where she's in her late 40s, early 50s, she's lived a normal life, she thinks her life's going to pretty much be over now, she's living just the downward trend, and then, bam! Something crazy happens, and she realizes this is actually just the beginning of her life. And so she gets this, like, upward, like, new experiences at, like, age 45, 50. Like, that'd be a cool, interesting story. Why can't we do that? Seriously. But no, we want to have a very young, hip-looking Dakota Johnson, and I'm getting kind of like a Scream 6 vibes with this, because there's like this killer going after these 4 women, and like, honestly, I feel like Nicole from Dead Space Remake would have been the perfect Mad Web, and Dakota Johnson would have been the perfect Nicole for Dead Space. Like, if we could just swap those two out. Have the 60-year-old from Dead Space play Mad Web, and have Dakota Johnson play Nicole in Dead Space. I think she would have done a good job as Nicole. Actually, for a live-action Dead Space movie, give her a blonde haircut. I could see Dakota Johnson playing Nicole for the live-action Dead Space movie that they're making. I'm really excited about. But, like, they're introducing Spider-Women in this, and, like, one looks like the Spider-Woman from Across the Spider-Verse, and another one looks like this stupid sidekick from Gotham Knights, and, like, the villain in this feels so generic, throwaway. Like, clearly this villain's going to die in this movie, because there's nothing interesting about him, and so there's no fear of killing off a really popular villain. I mean, hell, he's dressed up like Spider-Man, like a discount bargain bin basement Spider-Man. That makes no sense to me. Perhaps the only thing that I actually liked in this trailer is that quick shot of the actress in the black and white Spider-Woman outfit. It's like, oh, wow, that looks like it's from the comics. Okay, I'll like that part. Because I so seldomly get actual faithful adaptations of the comics anymore. And, like, I know that's only going to be in the movie for, like, a couple of seconds, okay? They don't have the balls to have that in for a third of the movie, which would be awesome. And, like, I hear everyone's, like, screaming about, oh, well, Sydney Sweet's playing, Sydney Sweet. I have no idea who Sydney Sweet is. Like, I don't know. Like, apparently she's from a show called Euphoria, which I've never watched it. I feel like it's one of those shows that gets way too much coverage that it actually deserves. Like Game of Thrones, I think that deserved the coverage it got. But like I read the premise to Euphoria. It's like, why are people nuts about this show? Like, so I mean, like, people are apparently she's really big right now. I've not seen anything she's been in, and apparently people are really excited that she's in this movie. I mean, she's probably a very nice person. She's her dressed up as Spider-Woman. It looks like the comic book, and so that's the only thing that's really excited me for this film. Am I going to watch this film? Absolutely. I watched Morbius, okay? And even though Morbius isn't an amazing film, I mean, it's still watchable. It's not good, but it's watchable, okay? And so, as long as this is watchable, yeah, it'll be fine. And no, I'm not upset that it's an all-female cast. I'm so sick of that when people try bringing sexism into shit where it doesn't belong, okay? Like, I have no problem watching an all-female cast in a superhero movie, okay? Just don't make them insufferable assholes, and you'll be fine. And, like, Dakota Johnson, holy hell, through this entire trailer, it felt like she was phoning this shit in, okay? I was getting nothing from her. It felt like she literally popped in for the day just to get the scene over with so she could go back doing something else more important. Now, I'm hoping that's not the case with this movie, but damn, did she feel like she was phoning in every single scene in the trailers. So, yeah, I'll try out this movie just so I can see the iconic black and white Spider-Woman outfit. Hopefully more than just a few seconds, because I really like seeing faithful adaptations from page to screen that I don't get anymore. Moving on. So, Sony has I don't know if they've released or if it's been revealed that they have a new patent for replay that could be a genuine game changer. And basically the idea of this is the pad is in games they would have a menu that would let you replay key iconic moments from said game. So, like, take the recent Spider-Man game, for example. The moment where Spider-Man faces off against Sandman. Well, instead of having to go through the entire opening, you could just go to a menu, click on that, and it starts you off with that fight with Sandman. Or you go to Resident Evil 4, and you want to experience the fight with the giant troll creature, El Gigante, or whatever his name is. Instead of having to have a special save or play through the entire game again, you could just go to a little options menu and replay, like, all the boss scenes or whatnot. And honestly, I think it's a cool thing. It's a cool idea. I think everyone would be awesome with this. And like, I don't think anyone would be upset if it was an option you had to unlock. Like, you have to play through the entire game to unlock it. So, like, honestly, I think that's a cool idea. And it would really help smaller reviewers like me. Like, you're doing reviews, you're doing game capturing, you're talking about a specific part. It's like, shit, I don't have any footage of that. Well, you just go to this chapter, like, it happened right after this boss battle. So you go to chapter, play the boss battle, and voila. Because not every game has level selects, which is really unfortunate when you get a game that has no level selects, and you can't have multiple saves, and you can only have one save, and once you get to the end of the game, in order to get to that part again, you have to start over. Like, some games are really not reviewer friendly, and then you get games that have level selects. So, like, honestly, I don't see anyone having any issue with this pad whatsoever. Here's the problem, though. You know how many times Sony has filed a pad that they never do anything with? Like, it's 90% of the time. Like, I think they have a pad where you can get haptic feedback through a sensor that you shove up your ass. Like, no joke, I think that might be a real thing. And, like, they haven't made that yet. thankfully. But, like, they have so many crazy weird pads that, will this actually be made? Probably not. But there's a chance. It seems simple enough in terms of, like, coding. And I think this would be a huge win for Sony if they actually made this a thing. Be able to replay iconic moments in a game. That's all I have to say about it. I just thought it was worth mentioning that they did this really cool pad. I don't like hating on Sony all the time. I like to give them props when they actually have a good idea or do something cool. Unlike the PlayStation Portal. Seriously, my phone, right over there, can do everything that thing can do. Moving on. Konami is creating a new Silent Hill production team. And, so yeah, Konami's getting into making video games again. Which is nice. Like, after Metal Gear Solid 5, they just went completely into pachinko machines. Because that's where they're making their money. And it's like, you know, Konami was kind of a dead franchise until finally they started announcing, okay, we're going to start making some new games again. And, like, they said, we're going to do a new football game, and it bombed. And I was like, okay, no, don't stop making games because that game bombed. Like, get back into it. You need a couple, okay? And thankfully, they're not, like, just abandoned games because that soccer game bombed. Thankfully, they are still moving ahead with several Silent Hill games. There's a new Silent Hill movie coming. I thought Silent Hill 2 Remake was supposed to come out already, but I guess it's not till, like, next February. So, but, like, that will be interesting because I have Silent Hill 2. It is a nightmare to control because it's the days of really, really, really shitty movement controls. And so you're just, like, moving it like a tank. And I've been able to manipulate the controller, so I'm not so much moving like a tank. But, no, the remakes, modern day controls are going to be really appreciated with that remake. So I'm looking forward to that. And also, like, Metal Gear Solid Delta or Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake, that's coming out. Looking forward to that. I think they should have remade the first Metal Gear Solid. That was the one that didn't age well. Seriously, Metal Gear Solid 3 looks fine and plays fine. It's Metal Gear Solid 1. The only reason why I have it is for the story, not for the atrocious gameplay. I know a lot of people love the first Metal Gear Solid. The gameplay is complete dog shit. I cannot stand the stealth in that game. I cannot stand the camera system. The only reason why I have that game is because of the story. And, like, 2 wasn't that much better. It wasn't until 3 where I actually started enjoying the gameplay to Metal Gear Solid. And yet they feel the need. This is like the third remake to Metal Gear Solid because they already remade it on the Nintendo 3DS. And I know some people say, that was just a port. No, when you have to implement 3D features and add a couple of new things in with gameplay, it's a remake, in my opinion. The graphics were improved for the 3DS. I'm pretty sure it was. And so I consider that as a remake. And so this is the second remake for Metal Gear Solid 3. And it's like, please remake Metal Gear Solid 1. Okay? That's like one of the best stories in the series. And it desperately needs a remake. Now on to our next story. The title of this article is AI could make Grand Theft Auto NPCs really interesting and fun, says Take-Two CEO. Traditional scripted NPCs are not very interesting. Okay, I could probably buy that. Strauss Selenick? Sorry if I slaughtered your name, man. Has apparently sided with the machines in the ongoing AI debate currently consuming the entertainment industry. He thinks the innovative new technology could improve the next Grand Theft Auto by adding more variety to dialogue trees to entice lapsed players back, potentially, but stop short of confirming whether or not such methods have implemented the next GTA. In an interview with Inverse at the Pally International Council Summit, when asked about the benefits of AI in future games, Sonic said everyone's working on that. You're a playable character, you're interacting with non-playable characters, the interactions is currently scripted. And the non-playable characters are generally not very interesting. You can imagine all the NPCs becoming really interesting and fun. So, I'm going to side with him here on this. I think the idea of adding AIs for NPCs is actually pretty cool. And a lot of people say, well, what about all the voice acting jobs? Well, you can, they do AI voice recordings of people. So you get like you get an actor to do AI voice recording, pay him the same wage, but then you have the AI take it over, and then you could have more variety with less storage space. Because while a single line of dialogue only takes up a tiny bit of space, Starfield announced that they had like over 200 or 400,000 lines of dialogue. That takes up space. And so if you could have an AI program just randomly generate the dialogue that actually does a good job on it, it makes sense to save up on storage space. Now, is this going to be implemented the correct way? I don't know. Is this going to destroy the future of gaming? I don't know. The first of anything always is rough. So the first time someone implements AI in a video game, it's going to be rough, and then you're going to have people go, you see, this is why we should never have AI in games, and it's like, honestly, I would agree with you, but the problem is, writing has gotten so terrible in the past couple of years that I am begging for AI writing to show up, because AI writing is going to write it to the audience, they're going to actually make decent stories, and human writers are going to have to actually improve their game. And it's like, I am so sick and tired of writing right now. It's all political. There's no fun anymore. Like, the story for the next GTA, you know it's going to be so political. It's not going to be satire. And, you know, so that's one thing I'm not looking forward to it on, is they're going to make it more political, because I think the original creator of GTA left while making the sixth one. Never a good sign when the original creator leaves in the middle of production. But, yeah, I'm not upset if GTA 6 has AI NPCs. It might lead to some really funny YouTube moments for people around the web, so give us your best shot, Take-Two. You know. And then our last story for the evening, we're going to talk about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. This article from Push Square, Call of Duty 3, or Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, sorry for that slip-up, has some of the worst PS5, PS4 review scores of the year. Golem still beats it, though. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is being described by critics as one of the most cynical PS5 and PS4 releases in quite some time. It's getting battered by reviews. While we're still taking our time to work through the campaign and multiplayer maps, the release's Metacritic score currently sits at just 50, with only titles like Crime Boss Rocket City and Lord of the Rings Gollum scoring lower. This is a disastrous result for the series that's generally dependable at worst. While the quality of Call of Duty has certainly varied over the years, Activision almost always delivers a decent experience, and the franchise has never been panned quite like this. Aside from below par campaign, most critics seem to be taking issue with the fact that this is clearly a DLC repackaged at a full-price product. The word is the game was developed in just 18 months, and the staff were forced to work weekends and evenings in order to get it finished. So, my thoughts on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. I have yet to play it. I am going to play it, though, when it drops in price. Because the only reason why I'm going to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is because it does not have any of the writers from Modern Warfare 2. my review is going to be releasing soon for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And I have some very, very starch-pointed words about that game. Yeah. And so, the bar for me with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, it's already low. And so, I'm not saying I expect this, but I would not be surprised if I had a fun time with Modern Warfare 3. I will leave it at that. Just to give you an idea of my thoughts on Modern Warfare 2. But some of the things I've heard about this game, like I've heard, yeah, it is glorified DLC for Modern Warfare 2. Okay. I'm curious if the multiplayer got improved. And, like, some of the things, like the open map missions, I'm actually interested to try. And, you know, so, I mean, I've heard bad things about Modern Warfare 3. I haven't heard good things from anyone. I'm still interested in trying it, just to see if it's general consensus, because a lot of people praise Modern Warfare 2. I don't share their opinion. So I think like that review is like next up, the next video to come out after this video. So you can tune in to see that. So I am going to eventually try it. I'm going to wait till it's much cheaper, which, judging by all the reviews, it's probably going to get pretty affordable pretty quick. So we'll see then. Anyway, so that's been this week's episode of the Console Wars podcast. What do you guys think about the stories we've gone over today? Say it off in the comments down below. Don't forget those questions for potentially next week. I'll be looking forward to see what you guys have. That's been this week's episode. My name's Chris Ricardo with 11 Hour Reviews, and that will be all for today.